Hey David, how's it going? It's Monday, and I'm here to bring you Jordan's list of things good teachers, lecturers, professors do. Yes, yes, you asked and you shall receive. Uh, so yeah, these are just the things that I, as a student, have really vibed off of, and really made me do well in the class. So I guess we should just jump right into it. Number one, uh, a professor or a lecturer has to be really, really kind of passionate about what they're talking about. You can't just sit there and read your slides that you wrote the night before. You have to know something about the subject. You have to be excited about it. You have to convey that excitement to the students. Otherwise, why would they ever listen to you? You know, like if you're just sitting there in a monotone voice reading your own words, well, then why are they going to class? You know. Um, so I find that the most important thing, um, and it was really evident this year. I had a professor named I don't remember his name. Don't remember his name because that's how much I didn't like his lecturing. But he would just sit there in a monotone voice, no jokes, nothing, and he would just read. And I thought he was bad until I got my next professor for the same course, which I guess I'll go to in a later. You know what? I'll talk about it now. So number two, your students have to be able to understand you, and that isn't just saying like accent wise, which is something that a lot of people have issues with. But like that, you can get past that. I don't care that. Well, I had one professor named I told you about it briefly, Professor Garcia Garcia, who is not a language teacher, who is a cell biology professor or lecturer or whatever you want to call her, and she's a very very thick accent, and this accent causes her to say things like proteins and experiments and all that fun jazz that isn't quite correct. That gives you a nice little laugh. Yeah, but that's not the issue with her. I find the biggest issue with her to be that you can't understand her because she goes too fast. So she was the kind of person who would have um, 80 to 100 slides in a single lecture, and she'd try to bust through every single one of them. And what happened was that she, A, didn't get through it. B, what she did get through was just a jumbled mess of some kind of Spanglish. And C, the students just sat there confused. I had a study group for that class, and we were all just staring at each other because we don't know what she said. Um, yeah, but I guess it leads me to my third point real quickly. You have to be able to plan your lectures or lessons efficiently. Because if you have 100 slides and you stop at slide 70 something, which, oh, good for you getting through 70 something slides, but um, you're kind of in this like limbo of like knowledge. Like the students are supposed to know the entire thing. Really takes away from the next lecture because often we would start from the slide that we left off on, and then 15 minutes into the hour-long lecture, we would start the planned lecture for that class, and it was just really, really ugly, you know. And all these things were very confusing and really took away from the learning experience and caused a lot of people to do poorly in the class that really shouldn't have done poorly, you know. It caused a lot of anxiety amongst my friends and I about like how are we gonna study for this? Like this is all a jumbled mess. I don't know what to do with this. So I guess a fourth rule, or not rule, but guideline is that you have to have some kind of sense of humor, and that sense of humor has to not constantly be, you know, putting your students down and putting yourself up. Um, there was a lot of issue with that, not just in my own experience, but in the experience of my friends who took classes that I did not, because I heard horrible things about them. Um, yeah, there was this professor. It's a problem at Cornell. It's a slight problem in intro level courses at Cornell. Um, yeah, just professors talking about how great they are and how bad you are, and it's just really, it's disrespectful towards the student, and I don't think students generally deserve this disrespect. We're, or at least at Cornell, we're all there to learn. We don't want to be beaten in class. It just really, really deters people from lecture again, and the more you deter people from lecture, the worse people do. Yeah. So, I guess a person who embodies all this was a lecturer I had last year, who I didn't really appreciate at the time, but I did. I kind of did. Her name was Melissa Smith. Melissa Smith taught biostats. She taught biostats. And she was a very go-getter woman. She loved stats. She loved biology. She would often entice us with stories about how she was in the field and she did this and that, and she would really make it a very interactive experience. I know we spent at least one class doing. It was a question. She had not planned it prior to the class. It was an idea came to her head, like, what shoes make you jump the furthest from a standstill? You know, statistics wise. So she had people write down their shoe. No, it was gender. It was either gender or shoes. I'm sorry. But she had people write down their gender. She had people write down what kind of shoes they were wearing, like flip-flops, dress shoes, all that jazz. And then she'd have them stand in the front of the room, like before class or after class, and they would do 3 trials of standstill jumps. And then she ran all statistics, and she was speculating, and she was teaching the class. It was an interesting experience. But yeah, so she was passionate. She kind of knew what she was talking about. She was able to explain in depth what was going on, really communicate to the students. She made her classroom feel like a welcome environment. You know, she was also very open to students coming to her after class stuff. Her office hours. She even invited people to her house, which is really nice. Yeah, so she was a great lecturer. The only problem with her was she was often bad at math. It was really like mental math. So she would write down a problem and then do the problem somewhere else, like in her head or on like a different piece of paper with different numbers, and come back with statistics. She would like reject the alternative hypothesis when we were supposed to fail to reject it. Because of like some simple math mistakes, and that makes a big difference. But I guess that's kind of a learning experience too, indirectly. But yeah, so those are the things that I have learned that I think make a excellent professor or lecturer or a teacher. You really just want to be able to make your classroom feel like a welcome environment and have people want to go to class. Like, walk into that room and walk out of it knowing at least a little bit more, you know? Not just going to take an hour-long nap, which is something that happened to me a few times. But yeah, that's all, I guess. I'm home in Florida, as you can see. I got home on Christmas night. And just yesterday, Sunday, I celebrate Christmas Eve with my family. And then tomorrow I am heading to York, Pennsylvania to see someone. And yeah, that should be a fun experience. I hope all is well on your vacation upstate, and I'm sorry to hear about your loss. My condolences. Yeah, so... Better music, yeah. Please just send over some tracks. I've been sitting here recording some doobly-doos, just random little riffs and tiny kind of like song ideas, not really song ideas, but, you know, some interesting segments, I guess you can call them. Just because I had the ability to sit down and play guitar for like an hour, or, sorry, multiple hours. And, yeah, so please send me a few tracks, an idea, anything. I'm patiently waiting. So I hope you're having a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.